Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sam Beats Consulting YouTube channel. Welcome back to the final video in our little mini series all about SIM management and SIM optimization. If you haven't already, please do go back and watch the other two videos. The first one was introducing the ICCID number, aka the unique reference for a SIM card, and then last week we looked at the asset management database and how you can populate and manage your SIMs within the AMDB. And finally, to wrap up this trilogy, epic trilogy we should say, we are looking at how you can optimize your existing SIM fleet and how you can save some of those hard-earned pennies. But before we start, please don't forget to check down there, make sure that you have liked and subscribed to this video. We'd hate for you to miss out on anything that's coming up over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, however long this channel survives. So please make sure you hit subscribe, and if you want to be notified whenever a video is uploaded, hit that notification bell as well, and you'll be notified as soon as we do any uploads. So I hear you ask, how can I optimize my SIM fleet? Now, it's important to say that it may not be in your area of ITAM, managing the SIM cards and looking at optimization. We've seen SIMs being managed with people like procurement, facilities, dedicated MDM teams, even procurement, etc., rather than ITAM. However, we are seeing more and more people start to move this kind of contract management, the SIM management, the phone contracts into ITAM from an optimization and an asset management standpoint, if you can call it an asset, a SIM an asset. But there are a number of ways in which we can leverage existing processes, activities and ways of working in order to save a decent amount of money and optimize the SIMs that we're using. So there's three typical ways that I would go about in optimizing our SIMs. The number one is using the Supplier portal. So a lot of mobile phone providers and SIM providers have a portal where you can track all of the SIMs that have been provided, the associated numbers, when it was sent to you, when it was activated, all of the important information we discussed last week when importing it into your AMDB. But you also get usage information in there as well, not only in terms of when it was last used, but also in terms of how much data is being used, how many minutes, how many texts, all of that good stuff. And you can see all of the extra charges that have been put on the account and put on that particular number. So that ties in with the second data set that we're also going to look at, and that is the monthly reports that you typically get with mobile phone contracts and billing. They typically, again, show pretty much identical to what you're looking in the portal anyway, looking at usage per mobile phone, looking at any overages, showing you your consumption within your plan, all of that good stuff. Stuff you can actually get from the portal, but I'm very conscious that you may not have access to the portal and you may only have access to these monthly reports. And then finally, our third choice is that system that we were populating last week, which is the asset management database, where you can again see that relationship between SIM, phone and user, identify users that have been inactive for a long time or even left the organization, so that you can ensure that there's that knock-on effect then on the mobile SIM contract that it has, and that you can then cancel that SIM, save the money, or redistribute it to someone else who wants it. So then first of all, then let's look at that Supplier portal, something that sadly I really enjoy using. There's a lot of providers that have some really detailed reports, and I mean detailed. Like I can see to the megabytes how much data someone's been using, how many minutes they've been using, text, etc. And you can see that level of overage. But the first low-hanging fruit to go into these portals is to have a look at when the phone was last used. This is when it was last hit the network, not your internal network, but the phone carrier network, and also when data was last transferred, when a phone call was last made, when a text was last made, all of that good stuff. It's important to mention that you may be in an organization where you actually have some SIMs that are in lorries, for example, or specific equipment that you have to have a SIM card in, or even emergency SIMs for health and safety on phones around different floors where there's a SIM card in it that's purely used in a case of an emergency. Obviously, it goes without saying, exclude those from this optimization. You may have a legal requirement, a HR, health and safety, etc. legal requirement to keep those going. Even if there's no usage associated with it, it's still going to be important moving forward. I remember working for a client where they had SIMs in gritter lorries. Now, obviously, during the summer, they weren't being used, but as per their contract to local councils, etc., those SIMs obviously need to be activated in case that truck, lorry, whatever, gritter had to be used in other times. So it's really important that you understand and know which ones these are so you can exclude them from any other reports. Now we're going to look at the actual users and optimization, and again I'm looking at when it was last used, I'm looking at the data, I'm looking at the phone calls, I'm looking at the text, etc., to establish any opportunities for saving a bit of money. And remember as well, this is going to be OPEX, not CAPEX. This is an operating cost that comes out of your bottom line. It's a subscription. So having a look through, seeing when it was last used in anger as well, in terms of the amount of data and stuff like that that's been sent, and then really building up a target list of people that I want to audit in order to understand whether they actually do still need the SIM and the phone itself. We find a lot of the times that when the phone's been distributed, the person doesn't really want it. They have a personal device already. They've been given a corporate device, but actually they don't want the handset. They don't want the extra number. They don't want that extra hassle or management. They'd rather just use their personal phone. Completely fine. It's a preference. Whenever I go into clients, we find there's so much low-hanging fruit with people that by default have just been given a phone, don't use it, don't want it, more than happy to give it back, more than happy to free up the line because they're happy to give out their personal phone. Great, amazing. They are the best kind of low-hanging fruit candidates that we have. But yeah, typically go through the portal, make sure that you're tracking all that usage, excluding the ones that you absolutely have to have. And then if you've got sophisticated tooling in place and you know that that person's no longer using it, no longer got the phone or have left the organization, you can cancel it, save the money on that particular plan, or you can redistribute it because you know that you've got 50 new starters joining in the next month. And you can reassign the line, reassign the number, put that SIM into a different phone, or even use the same phone that the leaver had, and you've done a good bit of optimization there. Obviously the dream is to stop spending money, so look at those people that don't want it or don't use it anymore or have completely left the business and you don't have that growth to then match the stock and the numbers that you've got. Cancel them, keep the number. You know, you can work with the provider to keep the number if you specifically want to redistribute that number. I've seen that happen before. If you're not bothered about the number, you can let that one go. It doesn't matter. You get another one if you want to activate a new SIM, and you save some money. Track those savings as well in your ITAM savings tracker, and remember that's OPEX. It's a very similar technique when you get those monthly reports again. Who's not using it? Make sure it's not a legal requirement SIM that you have to have. Contact the users, recover the SIM, recover the handset, cancel the line, get the money back. It's so similar. It's just with the portals, you don't have to wait every month. You can see the live data in there to make those informed decisions on an ad hoc basis whenever you need or whenever there's a push to be able to do it. Again, just looking at the non-usage stuff, getting it back, doing your internal audits, very much like you would for your hardware and your software assets. And finally, use the asset management database with all of that lovely data that you've just put in there in last week. In here, you can look at levers that are still assigned the phone and the SIM. You've got even more information on the most recent discovery and the activity of the physical device, and then obviously the related SIM that's in it, and the user who's not using the physical device or the related SIM that's in there either. You may already have dedicated processes and audits going out for the physical handset itself, and you can just update these processes to combine that with the SIM so that you can really make sure you're managing the whole life cycle of these mobile devices and all of the associated costs, not just the physical asset, but the SIM as well. Of course, your asset management database needs to be updated and trustworthy for you to be able to leverage the data that it's providing you. But of course, you've done all that because you've previously implemented the SIMs into your AMDB and incorporated it all into your wonderful ITAM processes. If you haven't, you may just recover the physical device and forget to sort out the SIM, cancel it, move the number, etc. And then suddenly you're paying OPEX every month for something that is assigned to a lever, that's not actually in a phone anymore, that's sat on a shelf somewhere, that you're still paying for. See where I'm going with this? Absolutely not optimal, and a fantastic way to have needless overspend on your OPEX, which is coming out of your bottom line and is probably going against other projects when you could save that $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 a month, recover the costs of the SIM, save it, and it all adds up. And like I said beforehand, please make sure you are tracking all of these savings. It's so worthwhile doing. So then at the end of every year when you're doing your yearly review or even your personal personal yearly reviews, not just your ITAM yearly review, but your personal ones. You can go through and show how much CapEx, how much OpEx you have saved by implementing all of these wonderful processes. So in theory, SIM optimization is a lot easier than software optimization, that's for sure. Probably a tiny bit easier than hardware, but of course you've got to have the hardware with the SIM itself, and there's all sorts of other mitigating factors, like I said, porting numbers that are going over, people that have just stuck it in a drawer and don't need it, but their manager wants them to have it, etc. So just use the same approach as you've got for your hardware and your software. Do those internal audits, create processes and automation that will do those audits for you and give you the results so that you can then action it, recover the phone lines, stop paying every month for it, and the knock-on effect of that is also hopefully recovering as much hardware as physically possible is most welcome at the moment, with costs rising, supply chain getting even worse, and hardware budgets just going straight down the pan for this year as well. So if you can have a double win of cancelling a SIM and recovering a handset that you can then reuse, amazing. And don't forget as well, if you are cancelling the SIM but you want to reactivate it in the future, put it as part of your stock management process and make sure you clearly got all of those in a specific area within your stock room. They are tiny little SIMs, so please make sure you're looking after those correctly. So I really hope you found this mini epic trilogy series on SIMs useful. Please don't forget to check that you are subscribed, like this video, turn on that notification bell if you want to be notified whenever we release a video. And once you've done all that, we hope to see you back here next week for another video here at the Sam Beast YouTube channel. But until then, happy optimizing your SIMs, and I really hope you've enjoyed the trilogy mega series on SIM management.